everyone. Welcome back to Unpacking Potato, the podcast where I, Henny, the self-proclaimed potato, unpack a variety of different topics. The last two episodes, I talked a lot about self-worth and detaching our self-worth from external factors in our life and in our relationship as well. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about actually getting help and how asking for help and receiving help from people around us or from a community that we're a part of actually makes us stronger in the long run. And this is something that I've had to learn the hard way. I went through a lot of my life not accepting help and not asking for help because, again, like I said in my previous episode, I attached my self-worth to the ability to do everything by myself and being capable of dealing with everything alone. But that really got me in an isolated place, and I just kind of wanted to share my experience. So let's just get into it. Asking for help is never easy. I think asking for help is often linked with the idea that you cannot deal with it on your own, which sometimes is true, but sometimes it just means you need a little bit of support, whether it's looking for a therapist or a coach or any kind of guidance or support when you're embarking on a new part of your life. It's really difficult to admit to the people around you, hey, I need help. I think our society is so obsessed with we have to be individualistic and everyone has to be super unique and everyone has to do everything on their own to be considered that they earned something, that we kind of fixate on that idea that we have to do it alone for it to be considered an achievement. But I've come to realize in recent years that that's just not true. And getting help from people and accepting that assistance or support actually makes you stronger and actually makes that achievement just so much more meaningful. I think that we get stuck in this cycle of, I don't want to ask for help because A, maybe I don't want to be a burden on people, or B, I want to prove that I can do this on my own. That idea sticks with us and it gets ingrained into our values or our beliefs or whatever, to be like, you have to do this on your own. We get stuck in that and then we don't ask for help, and then we get stuck in whatever task that we're trying to do or goal we're trying to achieve, and then we get down on ourselves for not being able to achieve this thing because we have this belief that if we can't achieve it on our own, then we're unable to achieve it at all, or we give up on the idea as a whole and we just deem it not even worth our time. So I think a lot of the time we lose sight in what the goal actually is, and we get stuck on this desire to do it on our own rather than actually focusing on how to get to the goal. And I think this can stem from a lot of different things. Maybe you grew up in an environment that really looked up to people who were self-made, quote unquote, or who had no help, or maybe you were forced to do everything in your life with no help. Maybe you didn't have support growing up, so you think that's the only way things go. And this is not to negate people's efforts at all. This is not to put down anyone who's gone through anything on their own or who achieved anything on their own. This is just to open our minds to the idea that asking for help doesn't make you weak, and asking for help or receiving support doesn't make you achieving that goal any less of an accomplishment. I think that doing things on your own, there is a certain level of skill and ability and tenacity involved to be able to achieve things on your own, and that on its own is great. However, some things are just easier and better with more people involved or with more support involved. And I want to keep this to a general thing, but if we want to get down to examples, like say you're a student and you're going through a degree, it's really hard, grueling, difficult. You're getting through that on your own, but you may go and see a tutor if you need help in a certain subject, or you might go see your professor's office hours to talk more in depth about certain topics in class that you need more clarification on. That is all considered help. That's all considered support. And I think we fail to realize and recognize that support is support. Now, all these different types of avenues of support you can do. You can pay to get a tutor, you can go for a free tutor, or if the professor doesn't have office hours, you can shoot them an email and ask for help. But I think that asking for help part, when it's not given to you automatically, is seen as bad, there's like a negative connotation behind it. And I think that this is very true when you're a student, when you're at work, when you're a parent for the first time or the fifth time or whatever it might be. Asking for help just seems like this big daunting task that you're admitting defeat when you do it. But like, what's wrong with admitting defeat in the first place? There's nothing wrong with saying, I can't do this on my own. I would love some help. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I think as a society, we fear failure so much, and we fear that admittance to failure more than anything. We don't want to admit that we can't do anything. We don't want to admit that we're not strong. But it actually takes way more strength and courage to admit that you can't do something and that you don't know something and ask for help. I will always stand by this now. After being someone who refused help of all sorts, who thought, I'm a therapist, I could deal with this on my own when I was going through my own mental health struggles, I thought I was above that. I thought me asking for help and going to a therapist was somehow making me less of a good therapist because I wasn't able to do this on my own. But now in hindsight, I realize it was my ego speaking. I was allowing my stubbornness to get in the way of really healing and being better. And I didn't realize at the time that going to a therapist would actually make me a better therapist. I didn't think that me getting support would allow me to further investigate my own biases, my own values and everything, which is always changing and always updating. I didn't realize that doing that would actually help me in my job and not make me look weak. Now, in hindsight, I know that I think all therapists should have their own therapist. Coaches need their own coaches, whether that's in nutrition or fitness or in life, relationships, anything like that. I think everyone needs some sort of support, whatever in life, because life is hard, and there's nothing wrong with admitting that life is hard, and there's nothing wrong with admitting that support is helpful. If we get into this mindset and we get stuck of this thought process of getting help is weak, getting support is bad, then I think we actually get stagnant because we don't learn. If I was stuck in that stubborn state of never getting therapy, I would be stuck in that state of having my own mental blocks, allowing my previous trauma to stop me from living my life. My own negative self-talk would have gotten in the way of me going after what I really wanted. I would have never been where I am today if I had not eventually asked for help. Also, when you ask for help, a lot of good things happen. You learn new things, you meet cool people, you grow as a human. And I think those things are so often forgotten that when you actually ask for help, you learn and grow as a human more than you would on your own. If you go to a therapist, for example, you're gonna learn so much more about yourself and be able to deep dive into your past more than you would have probably gotten to by yourself. If you get a coach, they're gonna motivate you and be your accountability person so that you can achieve the goals that you want to. I think that it's so important to remember that these roles exist for a reason, and these people are out here to help you. And I just think it's so important to remember that asking for help and support in any way, shape, or form is just gonna make you stronger overall in the end. And it actually takes an incredible amount of strength to be able to ask for that help and admit, hey, I need help in this. I don't think I can do this on my own, or I would love more expertise on this, or I think that you are more emotionally intelligent than me, whatever that might be. It just makes a huge difference. I think it's just so important to realize that, because life throws a lot of stuff at you, and it's okay to ask for help. It does not make you any less of a person in any way, shape, or form to ask for it. I think one of the reasons I'm so passionate about talking about my own experiences is I've lived it firsthand. I know what it feels like to be stuck. I know what it feels like to have to dig out of it. I know what it's like to do that on my own, and I know what it's like to do that with support. And I just wish I wasn't so stubborn, and I wish I would have asked for help earlier on, and I wish I would have invested into my own health as much as I wanted to invest into everybody else's. And that's kind of why this ties in with the whole self-worth aspect of things. My self-worth was so heavily tied into helping other people. Helping myself wasn't even an option. asking for others to help me wasn't even an option. And this all came from a deep-seated belief that I wasn't worthy of that support. And that realization was probably one of the saddest ones I had in my healing process once I kind of recounted all the experiences I've been through and talked things out with a therapist and processed different emotions and examined my own dealings of what I tell myself and everything like that. One of the hardest things I had to realize and recognize was that I didn't think I was worthy of that help. And that's where a lot of it stemmed from. It was from ego and it was from being stubborn, 100%. I thought I was too good for it. I thought, oh, I could handle this on my own. Like, I'm strong. I've always been told I'm strong. I've always been told I'm so independent. And that was really highly regarded upon. But at the end of the day, regardless of how strong I thought I was, I also just didn't think I was worth anyone's time or effort to help. And that is such a sad realization to have about yourself. And it's a sad and difficult thing to admit on camera. But I think so many people experience this. As a former therapist, I cannot even begin to count how many people that came to me to seek therapy said similar things and said, I wish I had done this sooner. I just didn't think it was worth it. And when they say it was worth it, a lot of the time they were talking about this situation. But at the end of the day, when we got deep into it, they didn't think they were worth the time, worth the energy, the money, the effort, all these things. Because going to therapy or going to seek support from a coach or anything like that requires effort. And they didn't think that they were worth that time and energy, their own time and energy. They weren't worth it, or they just didn't have it because they were so burnt out from life itself. I just wanted to talk about this because I'm hoping to reach out to someone who also feels this way and feels that their self-worth is tied to other people's happiness, well-being, success, any of these things. My hope is that by watching this content that you will redirect some of that energy to yourself because you are worth it. And I think everyone's worth it. Every single person on this earth is worth their own time and energy to support and process what they've been through. And they're also worth help. They're worth asking for that help and getting that support and whatever it might be. It could be something like my experience with mental health or with previous trauma, emotional security, what have you. Or it could be something like business related or something career related where you need a coach to help keep you accountable or a business mentor or anything like that. It can be related to literally anything in life. It's just so difficult to make that first step to ask for help. And if you resonate with this and you feel that it's difficult for you to ask for help, I really encourage you to do a deep dive and reflect on why you think that is. Do you think that if it's something business related, maybe your idea isn't good, or do you think you're not worthy of the help? If it's mental health related, do you kind of put down your own experiences and think that it's not worth it, or other people have been through worse, so you should be able to deal with this too? If that's the case, so many people feel that way, and it is not true. There is no such thing as levels. There's no level of trauma or difficult experience that you have to go through to be able to get help or to be worthy of getting help. You could have gone through something that another person would have found really easy. Like, it depends on your own experiences and what your own lens looks like. Someone could think that, going through a breakup is not that difficult, and someone else might think a breakup is the end of their whole world. Someone might think that going through a family issue is something that they're used to. They've been through it their whole life, a little disagreement with their family, it's gonna go by. And another person might think this is legit the end. Like, I can't deal with this, I can't handle this. It all depends on the individual, and there's no required level of trauma to go through to ask for help. Everyone deserves a helping hand. Everyone deserves to be able to lean on someone, whether that is someone in their life already or someone that they seek out to hire. Doesn't matter. I just think it's so important to get that idea across because I see time and time again people hesitating on getting help, hesitating on asking for help. Even in relationships to your partner who ideally is your biggest supporter or your rock or the person you can lean on. People, I think, fail to realize that that's something that's available to us. And that was me for a long time. I thought if I had to lean on someone else, everything will crumble. Everything will fall apart if it's not me to deal with it. And that is a really isolating feeling, especially when you're in a relationship, when you're supposed to have a partner to help you through things. That's kind of like the ideal partner relationship, right? Or you take turns. One person is the person that gets leaned on for a little while, and then the roles change depending on what you're going through. Or you both lean on each other and you're both going through a hard time, but it's not always one person leaning on the other all the time. And I think that give and take, that partnership, that teamwork is so important in all sorts of relationships, but particularly romantic ones. If you choose to have a romantic partner to live with for the rest of your life, that's kind of what it's all about. But for me, I went through so much of my life thinking that that wasn't the case and that I can do everything on my own. And my romantic partner, I solely exist to help my partner, and I solely exist to be able to support them. And a lot of my previous experiences solidified that. And I just had to realize that that's not the case. And now I'm in a partnership where I truly can lean on him, and I can be the rock when I need to be and when I want to be, because it's not forced upon me. But I think that the ability to lean on your partner is just huge. And it is such a weight lifted off your shoulders when that finds you. And the first step to find that, I think, is to realize that you are worth getting support. You're worth having help. You're worth asking for help. And it absolutely does not make you any less capable or any less amazing or any less accomplished to ask for that help. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you are joining me in the morning, I hope you have a wonderful day. If you're joining me in the evening, I hope you have a restful night of sleep, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.